Welcome to the Gen meeting. I call for apologies.
We have apologies from councillors Dixon, Matthews and Galvin, and also Mrs Leah Daly is also an apology.
So I'd like to move we accept those apologies. Councillor Egan, Councillor Smith, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against no, carried. Now, confirmation of the minutes of the previous ordinary meeting held on the 18th of May as circulated. Could I have a mover that they be taken as confirmed as true and accurate? Councillor Moore, seconded. Councillor Smith.
No, I mightn't have been there.
No, I was not.
You can still second
Oh,
it.
we
though.
can second it.
You can second it.
Yeah.
Councillor Smith. Put the motion, those in favour say
Mine
aye.
won't open. Why isn't
So
it?
carried.
No presentation.
No presentation, no. Do call for declarations of interest, etc. There is none at this stage. We have two additional late items, is it?
Yes, there is.
Could you read
The
those?
Item 8.6, the investment and rates collection report. That's the report that went out. There was a holdings document in the minute in the agenda, but this is their report. And also an item 8.7, which is the 27th of June 2023 ARIC meeting minutes.
Eric meeting, yeah.
Eric meetings.
Thank you. Seconder,
Seconded.
Councillor Egan, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
There's no Merrill minute, so we go straight into officer reports. And, well,
That's just
it's all the reports from the committee meeting. Would somebody be happy to move that in block, I guess? All that's highlighted. Right up to the councillor activity report, is that right?
well, no, it's the committee recommendation.
Yeah.
The last one was the voice referendum.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So can I have a measure of that? Councillor Egan, second. We're missing Tiff, aren't we? Councillor Colton, put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against no. Carried. So then we go to councillor activities.
Yeah.
Question. Are
Yeah,
you going
question.
to give
yeah.
a report on the voice referendum
Sir,
later?
beg your pardon?
Are you going to just report on that?
There's no report on it. It's a request we're writing to the Prime Minister.
Oh, it's not. We took one to the when we
We're
went
writing
down
to the
though.
Prime Minister on the mover was Councillor Smith, I believe, that if the
I thought that was
what would the
you
consequence of the
took, yeah.
successful vote on the voice be?
I
Where
thought
are
you
we up
took
to with
that.
that? Have we-
Well, let us will be sent after
It's
today.
got it.
Oh, it's got to go through the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all that is.
Yeah. Okay.
Council activity report. Everybody happy with that? If so, somebody
Moved
move.
by Councillor Egan.
Has it? That's quick.
Must have done.
Yeah. Councillor Mulligan seconded that. That the report be received. I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye. That's okay. Thank you. Now, the operational plan. We have looked at this before, and it's been on display, and no comment from anybody.
No, there's been no problem.
No comment.
The only comment was we had people asking what the new fees were for certificates and things like that, but there was
Yeah.
no
No general comment on the document at all. So it's all where you've got it. I don't know if there's here's a chance to ask a question if you've got something, but we did go through it pretty well.
We did.
So if you're happy with that, and it makes up several things as the community strategic plan, the delivery program, the operational plan, fees and charges, donations listed and the budget details. If you're happy with that, I'd ask somebody to move that recommendation.
The officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Colton. And a seconder? Councillor Mulligan, thank you. Okay, so I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No, carried. Well, we don't have tea till 6, you know.
Yeah. don't worry, there's plenty to talk about in the confidential.
Yeah.
There is a pub up the road.
Ah, yes.
That's what
You're
we used
being-
to do, John.
And you're being recorded.
We had a few good sessions between the...
The delivery program, January to June,
Okay, where am I? Actually lost it. So
item 8.3.
I'll go on your... Yeah. too much paper. Delivery program, what's the recommendation?
I'm nearly there.
So,
It's just for acknowledgement.
yeah, it is, it's straightforward. So we go down to the fees and charges statute.
Well, you need to
No,
make
it's
it
before that,
something.
isn't it? Okay.
8.3.
Okay, can I have a mover then of 8.3, which is the delivery program,
Councillor
January to June? Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Mulligan. Put that, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 8.4, disability inclusion plan. The recommendation is that that plan be adopted. Any questions?
No, I think that's been fairly well thrashed out
It
over the
has,
years. We've
it
just
has.
got to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Move that.
Thank you, Councillor Egan. Seconder? Yeah, Jeff, Councillor Smith, is there any questions that we're going? I've been a bit quick though. If not, I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye. Fees and charges,
These are the statutory fees and charges that came in late from the state government.
changes, yeah.
So, I mean, we have to charge them, it's not
Yeah.
discretion.
So this is really a formality. I'd ask for a mover.
No.
Councillor Egan, second Mulligan, those in favour say aye. No, carried. The May monthly investment rates collection report. Helen,
Just your standard report, and I can take any questions if anyone has any. Interest rates are still currently climbing,
It's
so
this
we are
page. It's page 166.
still investing monthly at a time. And Graham did say this morning that the interest rate for next month should be 4.1%.
yeah.
So we'll jump on that
And
then.
the interest on borrowings is double that? 7, is it?
I thought it was 6 point something.
Or 6.97 or something.
Yeah, 7.
I just rounded
Seven's
up.
close.
So that was, for the $5 million we've borrowed for our roads cash flow in the building
Yeah.
and the $2 million for sewer for the
Yeah.
extension. They're
Yeah.
both at 6.97% or something close to that.
And did you want to comment on that, Alex, on the lag in, I think the councillors need to know this.
Certainly. There is a significant lag between our claims for particularly disaster recovery and the receipt of income from Transport for New South Wales. We submit our ledgers at a transactional level. So there's quite a lot of detail we provide on a monthly basis to Transport for New South Wales. We are supposed to be paid on a monthly basis. We have to date received one payment since September of last year. There was, after we made a little bit of noise about it, there was a commitment that $1.7 million would be paid before end of financial year, which was to be paid yesterday. We're hoping that that's processing and we'll see it before 30th of June, but currently we're $3.1 million out of pocket.
Yeah, and that's directly costing us 7%.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you include a couple of other areas where we have similar issues, it almost takes us up to the full value of this loan, the interest of which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Helen, somewhere around $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
So that lag in payment has a very significant flow-on effect to our cash position, and there's no capacity for us to claim the repayment or the interest of that loan as expenditure for roads or with grant funding. So it does put us at a real disadvantage. There have been lots of commitments made by Transport for New South Wales that the problem will be resolved, and we're hoping that this $1.7 million that's been promised this financial year will be the first step in that direction, and we'll see regular payments after that.
There's also hope that Transport for New South Wales monitors our meetings.
Yes.
It would be good. Because it's a big cost to us. $400,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's our bottom line. Yeah, it's disgraceful to think that we're kind of just left out in the wind to do work and not get paid, but expect to pay the contractors that are doing the work and not hold out on them when the state and federal government are holding out on us.
And then one of the big problems associated with it, we're a little bit damned if we do, damned if we don't, in that we could stand down our disaster recovery staff and the work they're doing. They're in hired plant that would still have to be paid for, and their wages would still have to be paid for, and they would be costs that we would never be reimbursed for. So the sensible decision is to continue to do the work, but the gap between what we've spent and what they've paid us seems to be growing a little bit.
Okay, any questions?
Would it be
Yeah.
any sense in getting Adam involved in it?
I think that is the next step. I presume this is happening to all the councils in his electorate.
Yeah, and look, I think in fairness to Transport for New South Wales, the disaster recovery space exploded in a fashion that nobody could have anticipated. They've also had 2 years to catch up on their staffing and address the problem. I would suggest that if the 1.7 million we promised doesn't arrive, and if the remaining 1.3 that we seem to be short doesn't turn up by July or August, then involving Adam Marshall would be the next sensible step.
So that just sort of answered my question. I think what is totally outstanding is $3 million plus that things 1.7.
Just in disaster recovery, 3.1 million, and we've got a $900,000 claim on top of that. So once that's submitted, which will be done before Friday, that figure becomes $4 million.
Well, that hasn't been approved yet.
That claim hasn't been approved.
No, I think I'm hoping that, you know how it was on the news where they couldn't afford to pay nurses. I'm wondering if they're just delaying things to keep their cash flow.
Well, I don't think it's a great secret. What's been passed on to us, we've had this discussion, hashed it out with Transport for New South Wales maybe half a dozen times.
Yeah.
And every time we have the conversation, they highlight the amount of cash that Transport for New South Wales is carrying on behalf of the state government. They claim to be owed somewhere in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So there's potential that what you're saying is quite true.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make our position any easier or more palatable.
No, it doesn't, but it makes it, it does indicate we could even be further out from it. Yeah. Anyway, we can't do much about that except, you know, like you said, Councillor Smith, Alex has asked for a stay of execution on that one, but down the track we may well take our local member into.
And I think if we do go down that path, some sort of insistence that we're reimbursed for the costs associated with carrying debt on their behalf because of their inaction, I don't think that's unwarranted.
No. See, well, we all have made a big stink about the Red Fleet and what it's costing us. This is costing us more than that.
And this is real money. This is not just depreciation.
Yeah. All right, so there's a recommendation there that the May monthly investment rates collection report be received and that the use of the council common seal for the documents listed is noted. Could I have a mover? Please, Councillor Mulligan and Councillor Egan. We're reversing it. I'll put that motion if there's no questions. No. All those in favour say aye. It's no carried. Very good. Next item is the ARIC meeting minutes. Would you want to say something about ARIC, Helen? What we actually do? I'd like to know. I'd like to know. It's have to have an external chair of ARIC, and Jack O'Hara is the retired GM from Walker.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the meeting we had on Tuesday, we had Alex gave a short presentation on where we're at with all our roads and the risks associated, which we've just been through.
Yeah.
Now with our cash flow, Justin gave a report on our service reviews that we're going to be doing, which will be mandated when the next council comes in. And as you are already aware, we're doing tourism and parks and gardens as our first ones. And then we went through the IP&R documents that we've just approved, which had to be done, and then just our 2023 audit engagement plan, which has all our key dates to get our statements submitted on time and our other reporting requirements.
Yep.
So yeah, Jack was in attendance, Councillor Egan and the Mayor, and Rod Smith is our other member, and Max and I were there also.
Politics change now.
It will be. It will be another mandated change.
That needs to be discussed too. Somewhere in the future, we're not sure when, they're going to change the makeup of this committee, internal audit committee. There'll be no elected members from this council on it. They'll be all outside people. With
A minimum of 3.
the exception of you, Helen.
Well, I'm
You're a
not.
non-voting member anyway, yeah. And it's going to come, well, there's a couple of things. It's going to come at great expense. They've got to be paid a fair bit of money. And the other thing is that they're going to be, it's crazy because our committee has no teeth at all. It's like a review thing. But they'll be reviewing things from our council that they have no idea on. An elected member at least knows what's going on. And this is out of our hands, but it is crazy.
It will come at a huge expense to council because the requirements of those on that committee, they'll have quite a serious workload of things that they're going to have to get through and pretty much double check on what council is doing, what your current role is, they'll also be doing that. We've got to pay them a reasonable cost to actually do it. So one of the suggestions I have heard from other councils is that we share resources. So potentially I could be on another council's committee and then we could have that person from the CFO from that council be on our committee, and it's kind of a quid pro quo, so it doesn't cost us anything. But it's extra work that's got to be accounted for.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's fine for the big councils and anyone in the city where you have retired professionals that actually want to, those kinds of things. They do 2 or 3 different ARIC committees and have a commitment and have a good income coming in, but we don't have that up here quite as readily available, unfortunately.
They have to be professional.
I think it will be a case you'll have to have a qualification in finance or internal audit.
Well, my casual observation of the current committee is that while Rod Smith's on the committee, and he has certainly got a lot of common sense and probably can oversee it all, but when we start talking detail, Rod's lost.
Yeah.
And this is what it's going to be like, I believe.
And I think my biggest concern is the recommendations that will come from those committees will not have the heart and soul of the communities as the basis of those
No,
decisions. They'll
no.
be simple black and white decisions on what is probably best financially, but may not be in the best interest of the community.
I'm wondering whether we should be putting this in front of other councils and protesting.
Yeah. What's the sense in it?
I don't see any sense. It's another, what do you think the cost would be?
Then it will be over $100,000 to $150,000 a year for what has to be paid. And if you have members that are from away that you've got to pay accommodation and flight and hire cars and all sorts of
Yeah.
things, it will drastically blow out for areas like this if you can't find people that can tick the boxes that they'll require to be on the committee.
We did lodge a submission which was very negative towards the proposal, and it looks as though it was just
Ignored.
ignored along with every other our councils.
Same as when we put in our disagreement to the audit office taking over council audits. So that's potentially April next year that will come in. So that will be a major consideration for next year's budget, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just another
When did you
oversight.
It's everywhere we look.
When did you think it was going to start?
April next year.
Is that, it's an in start?
No, I'm not sure that it's set in stone because it's been set in stone before and then
Yeah.
moved out.
No, that's why I asked, yeah.
So
Yeah.
What would happen if we just don't do it? I mean,
I'm not sure.
some of
the audit office will give us a big black mark because every correspondence I have from the audit office must go to the ARIC committee. That it's just so that we have an extra level of oversight of independent people, making sure that if any issues are raised by the audit office on the integrity or the stability of council, there's an independent body that are able to raise the flag to councillors. And it's like, well, the councillors are doing their job because they want
Yeah.
council to succeed. So
There's no other level of government has this.
councils like some of the ones, the others that have got problems, I suppose,
Well, it's
But I
just-
believe that's the role of the audit office. That's why we pay our $80,000 a year for our independent audit report every year.
Yeah, I agree. It's doubling up, and it just shows there's absolutely no trust between
Yeah.
state government and
It's a
local.
really frustrating.
Yeah.
So just talk 400,000 of hours interest, 150,000.
Yeah.
That's 500.
Yeah.
It's not commitment.
That's not doing any benefit to the community
I know.
whatsoever. That's got to come out of general fund. It's just frustrating.
Anyway, I'm pleased that you explained that very well, because it is frustrating, and I don't know whether we could possibly achieve anything.
It's also means increasing rates.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So having said all that, I'd like somebody to move the adoption of
I'm
those
full of good news.
minutes of the ARIC committee.
Okay.
Thank you, David Colton, seconded Catherine Egan. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. Councillors' reports, right. Okay, well, I'll go, you're right, Councillor Egan, to start those.
I have here
No, yes.
that I will
Just get the
table.
email, did it come? Did my
In the
email come?
councillor's report, Max, can I table this?
Yes, yes, you can.
I have a,
So you've got your signature on that, have you, Councillor Egan?
no,
Oh,
I
okay,
have
thank
not
you.
signed it. It's a petition on behalf of the people that want to retain the hall. There's 362 signed, and there are 466. Oh, wait a minute, no, that might be wrong. Oh, no, electronic signatures, in total 466. Now, they come from Perth, Sydney, Devonport. They come from all over the country. I would dare to say not one scrap of knowledge about what they sign. So for everyone's reading, I have tabled a document. Thank you very much.
So that, Max, you said that will go to the staff to handle it.
It'll get referred as a submission to the DA.
Yeah, right, that's right.
What's the document?
It's a petition signed by a heap of people.
Petition.
To retain the memorial hall.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
This is only a comment outside. But I think since we've been going to some of the meetings and everything,
Is it turned on?
since we've been attending some of the meetings and giving some insight into it, I dare say there's a few people that have been to
Yeah.
those meetings would like to withdraw from that, but it's a bit too late. Now the information's getting out, I think that there's a better understanding of why and what's needed.
I think for the sake of the recording, Councillor Egan said to me yesterday that we've done this very badly, and on reflection we have, because we had a shopfront thing on Saturday. Wasn't many people went there, but the ones that did go there, except for one person, I think, was there was a revelation for them. They didn't know half the stuff.
They didn't have the inside information.
No,
And that's when I say we did it badly, we did it very bad, really badly, because we should have had that information out when we had the meeting back in, when did I go away? April.
yeah.
We had a meeting with Strutsy then, and we should have had this information going out to everyone
Yeah.
at that stage. So,
Anyway, we'll get there.
but we will get there.
Mm.
Other than that, attended the conference. I didn't go shopping, I might tell everyone I did not go shopping.
Well, you
I attended
didn't
the
get sick
conference.
either because you didn't touch the
No, I didn't
handrails.
touch the rails and I didn't get sick. But, have I got anything to report? Not a lot. There was a very big sell on the Yes
Voice
vote.
The voice was,
Had a
yeah.
very big sell.
Did you see my email about that?
No?
Pardon?
No, I was
Oh.
looking
And
at the telly.
I have to say, regardless of which side of
Sent you an
politics
email
you sit
about
on.
Well, I probably
ended
have.
up
I just
as
can't
the
remember
most
what it was.
performing
It was about
speaker.
the Telegraph wanting
So that's
to know
my
whether we support the
report.
Voice vote.
Oh,
I thought he was
you
the
knew the answer.
best speaker. And
Yep.
I don't think I was online, I heard other people refer to that, and I think that.
I'll tell you what did happen though. There was a vote on nuclear energy, whether we should be pursuing nuclear energy in Australia, and it was lost by 2 votes. It really surprised me. It was close. Yeah,
It was very
yeah,
close.
yeah.
There's a thing in the paper this morning about how Sweden,
Yes,
Sweden, Austria. Did you read that, mate?
yeah, their reliance on, especially wind power, is
Yeah.
just sort of like costing them an absolute arm and a leg.
Yeah.
It's got a step we haven't need to.
I don't know why we can see it, but those in power can't.
Yeah, I think-
Let's talking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Looking at the conference, and there were 500 odd councils, were there?
Otherwise, 1,100 delegates, I don't know.
So, looking at the conference as a whole and seeing what it is we can take and what we can bring home, it's not a lot, because we're overcome by the city
See,
putting forward every green vote you can think of, and we're just a voice in the wilderness, really.
I don't know, I don't know how long I've been on council, 10 years, something like that, but I remember the first meeting, you basically only just come back, similar thing.
Yeah,
And exactly the same thing, why the hell, we've got city councils and country councils all in the one, why haven't we got a country division of the,
we used to have that, but it was voted out, yeah.
And they put us, country is Newcastle, Wollongong, and all the East Coast, Coffs Harbour, all those places. They're all country with not anything to do with them.
But then I stayed an extra day because the Prime Minister invited all the mayors for dinner on Thursday night, and then a more conference on Friday. On Thursday night it was a big brainwashing exercise, getting people to vote for the Voice. And when the Minister spoke, there was a standing ovation, except for me. And the bloke next to me was in a wheelchair.
You've got a bad knee though.
I got a bad knee. And then on Friday was the same thing. I only lasted till lunchtime. It was just, I didn't enjoy it, and I won't do it next year. But, you're sure?
Go to the conference
No, I won't go to the last bit.
the
No,
Prime
no,
Minister's Day.
no. No, that's your report. You keep going.
No, I'm finished.
Okay. Councillor David Carlton. Nothing. Jeff. Councillor Smith.
just a couple of things. The new houses, the new
Yeah.
units we've got in
Yes,
buckets,
yes.
do we have to furnish them?
Yes, we will probably be furnishing them
Yeah, right. No, just something that someone asked me, like,
because they're basically available for the registrars. They get,
so
yeah.
they'll be
So,
sort of basically furnished.
Yeah.
That's all right. The other one, Alex, I got asked there this morning to have a look at the slab going over the main worry of the slab going over the creek.
Yes.
It's got a real bad washout on the town side of it. Funny, I go over it every second day, I've never seen it. And it's like,
You're going that fast,
he just
man.
told me this morning, so I went and had a look at it, but it is pretty bad.
is
Okay.
that Oregon Road?
No.
No,
One in
Hope
town.
Street.
Town.
Down from Moores.
I'll move to town, that's it.
Oh, well, that's
The town side of the main slab down past Moores.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We're one of those things that you need to stop and,
That's absolutely-
and see to really see. But,
Yeah,
well,
no, you can see it when you, it's just, I don't know, but it is pretty bad if you're a bloke on a bike or something passing.
sure. Well, we'll get that sorted out.
The other one was that, and he said, the one going up the tip's a little bit, but there's one out on the slab just going over to the tip,
Yeah.
just on one side. It wouldn't take much to fix that, but
Okay.
the other one, but anyway, I thought I'd mention that.
No problems.
That'll do me.
I don't think you're around the room to Curly. Councillor Moore.
No, I haven't really got any. The only thing I asked Alex about this morning is what the funded area was in the creek, Moriona. The funded area.
Is
in
it?
the creek for the kids, white training.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about it. Yeah. No.
Would the room like some information on that one?
Yeah, I know nothing of it.
So that didn't make it into the most recent wider news. We hoped that it was going to. We snagged about $70,000 for Transport for New South Wales for the establishment, basically of a. Yeah. Yes, I think they're going to pay it, Councillor Colton. The establishment of a footpath area on the creek that has some road signs and a little roundabout. It'll be at the end of the Reedy Creek rest area. We've still got the stage 2 of that to develop.
Where's the end of it? Which side of the bridge?
Still on the eastern side of the
Yeah,
bridge,
yeah.
and a short area about 40 metres long with a couple of paths in it, a fake roundabout.
What, up near the bridge or the other end? Near the slab or the bridge?
Near the slab.
Slab.
Sorry, no, near the bridge.
Near the bridge, okay.
Essentially an off-street area where children can go and run
Yeah.
around on push bikes and learn road rules
Right,
without.
yeah.
Gunnedah constructed one last year, I believe, and it was met with a really positive reception from the
Okay.
public.
Yeah.
Hamlet's had one for a number of years.
Okay.
You know, you go in and it's got all street signs and stop signs and it's a pretty good one. It's up in that, Broad Street area. It's sort of
South Channel.
up towards south, yeah, it's in south.
Okay.
Not down, not far from Tamworth.
And I think the creek bank at Warrialda, particularly in that area between the slab and the bridge, is a real hidden gem of Warrialda, and the more that we can create down there for people to go down there,
I agree with that, yeah.
the better.
Floodline,
Yeah, just a concrete footpath and some signs.
Let's go over the top of it, yeah. Go, back to you, Cal.
And the other one was, is there been any development on the corner of Stephen Street and the highway?
Ah, yes. Next. The brothel. Oh.
It's still with the external assessor who's working for us, but there's been discussion with the applicant about trying to improve the design of it. So it hasn't been approved yet.
No.
But it had no response from anyone, like it wasn't.
Yeah, there was no objections, and the requirement for the boarding house is 0.5 car park per room. So we're trying to push them on to provide more parking rather than just the minimum parking.
So it take up all the block? No.
Yeah,
Does it?
absolutely.
Pretty well
It's,
100%
it's
covered.
hard to envisage how that much
Yeah,
buildings that
It's
are
not a
onto
very
that
big
block.
one.
No.
Very efficient use of space.
They're not going to take over the veterinary clinic.
No,
Yeah.
no, they're going
So are they into that from Stephen Street or the highway?
From the highway.
Will they?
That's really the only way that they can get the parking
Right.
that they need. And we've, so on the original plans, they had a great big area for bicycles.
Ah,
And we sort of had a bit of discussion saying that, there's probably less need for them and more need
Yeah.
for more car parking. Similar with the bicycle access, where they've got the bins planned, we've advised that, if they could move them somewhere else, that'd be great. Little bit of discussion about who they thought they might attract to the,
interesting.
and yeah, they're very clear that it's certainly not for homeless people, it's certainly
Yeah.
for working people and
Yeah.
professional people, so.
So well,
And
there's,
he's got some other plans too in Foster as well, so he's kind of got a bit of a strategy about what he's doing.
what I take from that is it's going to go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, good. Just nothing really to do with council, but I'll bring it up. On the Mosquito Creek Road the other day, we nearly had a near fatal. What happened, I went across the ramp with the ute and the auger, and then the Johnson's concrete truck come along, and he pulled the big lengths of railway line all together,
Jeez.
and had a gap of about 500 or 600
Yeah,
between the things.
yeah.
And anyway, it could have been a fatal accident. Look, I stayed there until we got some signs
Yeah,
with Alex.
yeah.
That's like Dick Alex and the boys, but
Where was it again?
down the Mosquito Creek Road, just opposite near Moore.
Oh, I know.
Grain shed
Yeah,
there.
the grain shed, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Johnson's truck hit it, and he just pulled all
Yeah.
the railway onto one
And
side.
did you see that happen or?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, good thing you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and someone's already made to cross it because it one loose.
yeah,
You can see the oil
yeah,
up the other side, so someone did this.
yeah, yeah.
It really points out the pitfalls of cattle grids on public roads and why.
Well, particularly railway line because, you've got a job to do. It's a perfect looking weld, but you
And
hit it with
it
a hammer.
doesn't
and-
bond, yeah.
hit it- yeah. Mm.
That was just an accident waiting to happen there the other day. Anyway, that's all I've got, yeah.
Thank you, thank you, yeah. Lyndon?
Just a couple of quick ones, it's good to see the roads continuing to improve up on the northern end of the Shire there, and also I had one of the residents of Cocker Creek say thanks to the council for the fixing up around the village there, some of the potholes
Right.
in the streets there.
Right.
So thanks.
I think it should be pointed out that Councillor Mulligan's hosting the exchange students from Willoughby on Sunday and taking them out and showing them the real world. And I think that's a great thing to do, Lyndon. Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
I'll tell you next week.
Yeah. It could be a one-off, I know. I know. You've done now. That's you. Yeah. Right, I've got a letter I want to read to you. It says on the 30th September this year will be 50 years since Warialda Rugby League A-grade team won the grand final at the Warialda Rec Ground in 1973 under coach Wayne Hetherington. The A-grade repeated this success in 74. Players from these teams, along with reserve grade players, juniors, committee members, and are planning a reunion on September the 29th, 30th and October the 1st this year. That must be a long weekend, is it? When I've been talking to past players and other members of the community, a suggestion has been put forward that this weekend would be a great opportunity to name the rec ground after a player coach who was responsible for the success of the Warialda Football Club and that the club and the players achieved. Jim Payne came to Warialda in 1961 as a player coach. Warialda had some very good players and teams in the Group 5 competition experiencing varied success against the larger towns. In the next few years, Jim's style of coaching and example of playing increased the interest, ability, enthusiasm in the townspeople and players. Under his coaching and leadership, Warialda teams established an enviable reputation and record that any town would be proud of. He coached Warialda A-grade to 7 grand finals, 6 of them consecutive, winning 5 premierships in a row. He also coached the club's reserve side, junior league teams. Many Warialda players went on to play in NRL, with some of them representing the state of origin, and Noel Clear playing for Australia. Talking to people who played with him and were coached by him, they have stated his inspiration and his ability to lift players, encourage them and young players to get the best from them. This resulted in developing teamwork, skills, spirit, loyalty and enthusiasm in the players, sport and town. When Jim retired from full-time coaching, he was manager of the Warialda Pool for many seasons, making sure the younger generation knew how to swim and behave. He also, along with a few other ex-footballers, did a lot of voluntary work at the Warialda Golf and Bowling Club. The club benefited from his many hours of voluntary work on the course, which has always been considered a great asset to the town. His name deserves to be remembered in Warialda for his contribution to the community, which has been his hometown since 1961, and the fact that the name of Warialda became acknowledged as a rugby league town. Jim's 11 years of coaching A-grade is a record which has not been broken. Players who went on to play in New South Wales, Australia and overseas, both playing and coaching, remember him as their mentor. It would be fitting for the rec ground to be named after Jim Payne. I would be grateful if the council would consider my request and look forward to a favourable outcome. Signed, Brian Basham. Now, Brian came to me with this, and this was attempted quite a few years ago and failed. So the way forward now is that I'm going to recommend anyway that we put this on display with honouring this request and see what we get from the public. I personally support this idea. We'll see what everyone else thinks.
We've got a policy. How do we override the policy? I mean, I'd be happy to support it. But
I think the policy will be met shortly. If you get my drift.
Can I also suggest that we aim to do it if it is supported in the September weekend, and we ask Noel Clear if
Yeah, I think we might leave it to them because Noel Clear might be the one against it. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Oh, really?
He may be. I don't know. There's a move to have it named after him too. So I don't know.
We could call the bar.
Yeah.
I can't remember actually what happened.
I've done some research on it, and what happened was there was a few of the older community who did play alongside him objected, and they really gave Jim a hard time, and in the end he said he didn't want it.
Yeah, he withdrew.
He withdrew it. Yeah.
I think it's something that we really should do.
Yeah.
Jim, like when we talk about football, Jim was there's no one higher.
No, no, that's right, yeah.
And, he's in the room now, he probably doesn't know anything.
No, he doesn't, no, he's gone,
Yeah, I didn't know him. Actually, I was talking to Bash out there the other night.
yeah.
Football
Are you,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to move it if
are
I
you
can.
happy, are you happy to second?
I would,
that
yeah.
motion?
Okay.
I'd like to support it too, but I mean, being a Bingra footballer.
We won on the
absolutely
weekend.
hated-
We went past
We
that.
absolutely hated Warrior at the time, but he was an absolute legend.
He used to flog us the other day, too.
I
Yeah.
said, well, I saw Peter Reardon at Golden Friday and I said, well, or Sunday, and I said, well, that's revenge for what you did just back in the 60s.
Anyway, it was a golden era for football in Warialda, and
And John, I think a lot of those ones that were,
yeah, they're no longer with us, I know, yeah.
I think also, John, the man came here as a coach. He could have, at the end of his term, gone back to Queensland where he came from. He became a citizen and a member of the community. His family grew up there, went to school there, and unfortunately, Jim's resident now, and we see.
He set a pretty high example for his players. One thing he was trying to stop them from drinking as much, and certainly not on the Saturday night before the game.
So, I mean, partly my life is he became a part of it.
He did, and he was a very damn good footballer. Anyway, yeah, all right, so I'm going to move that we put that on display, and it's been seconded by Councillor Smith. I'll take a vote on it. Those in favour? Thank you. Against? No. Okay. Carried. Right, the other thing...
There's a couple of things.
I've got some more, yeah.
Oh, you go. Yeah.
I've only got a little bit of stuff here. Got a request from Lauren Munsey from North Star for a donation. They're having I think it's a dinner to raise money for Tharabonga. And so I've spoke to Max and suggested $500 go that way if you're happy with that. No, just
I've
go.
already sent it down to
Yeah. And there was, I can remember at a meeting here, a bit hazy on it, but there was a question from somebody from the public, I think, about the phone signal and something or other. And I just wanted, I don't know if you all got this or not, but there's a telecommunications roadshow in Bingra on the 24th of July. And I'd like to get that out there if we could, if we can get into our weekly publication. It's on Monday the 24th at the Living Classroom from 10 until 12. And then...
You sent that on to Sally?
No, I haven't. And then at 12 till 2 there's the opportunity for health checks and other things. But that's come from Sandy McNaughton, who's a recovery support officer.
That was the result that we brought up with the problems we're having up on the hill here with an LEMC meeting.
I think it might have been a public meeting at Bingra. There was a question and I referred
There was a
them.
question.
I referred them to this. Yeah.
If you forward that on to Sally.
I'll do that. Yeah, I did intend to do that. I think that's yeah. And Catherine, that's all for me. Catherine, you had to.
Just Marilyn said to me this morning when she tended her apology, some of the orange trees may need to be replaced if the men are given the opportunity, if they think they need to be replaced.
Yeah, I know the ones. They're sort of half dead, aren't they? Yeah.
Allow them some budget to replace them.
Now,
Tasted the oranges, so the oranges are all right.
how can you taste them,
It's
Kelly?
tomorrow. You could wait till tomorrow.
There's too much moon of a night. You can't. Yeah, Max, you had some.
Prepared to be crucified if you know.
You had some items.
I thought you might like to hear about a response about some of the meetings that
Yes,
have
yes.
been out there.
Yeah.
I didn't attend this meeting, but on the last Saturday, Carmen Southwell, Mel Fruin, Casey McClimate and Sally Robertson, I think Gail may have been involved as well, made themselves available to meet with people at the library here in Bingra to talk about the Memorial Hall, people that just want to talk about it, you know. They were there to answer questions. There were 11 people arrived. I can go through the names of who arrived in the confidential bit if you want. Announce them here. But what came out of it, there was just The suggestions were, some of them were a little bit negative, others were sort of positive. Some said, putting money into the TLC and the Roxy, why not the council chambers? They noted that the Soldiers Memorial Hall name was emotional words, and that gave a bit of ownership to some people within the community. The facade is what is appeared to be most important to people. And whether the new building was in keeping with the heritage streetscape, I'm not sure if that's really a legitimate concern, but that was what was raised. There was some support for the move to Cunningham Street, which is around the corner where the current car park is. Well, that's where our outdoor staff park. That would be a bit difficult to accommodate. And they also said, well, if you're going to do it, why not move the depot to the outskirts of town at the same time, so that you're doing the whole development. And why not try to keep the hall, and it could be used for markets, meetings, and would stop losing yet another building in town. I went to an RSL club meeting as well, which was actually one of their best attended sub-branch meetings apparently, so I can bring out a crowd. We had a long discussion about the building. I think most of them accepted that the building really isn't suitable and can't continue on. There was one who was very much against the building being demolished, mainly because he was married there, and so that's got some sentimental ownership. But the general view was really the building needs to go. If it's got mould and it's got problems, why invest money into it and then in a couple of years' time you might have the same problem? But there was a very real belief that it would be great if the facade could be saved and kept. And I mentioned there that in one of our management meetings amongst the staff, the suggestion was, well, why not keep the facade and behind it you could have a memorial park. Now we could do that, and then we could use the back of that land. Basically we could have a building that is in Adam's garage and you had the council chambers around to the back, so you still had a facade. Now, Alex is finding out suitable engineers that may be able to work out whether that's feasible and how you would do it and how much it would cost. Because of the RSL club, the cost of it was important to people. If it was grossly expensive, then I think they'd accept that that's probably not a viable thing. But I think we should pursue that, and at least you'd have the information.
Yeah, just leave one wall, front walls.
Yeah. Also, we both Catherine and I went to a Vision 2020 meeting, and I was actually surprised at the positive way that we were received. I don't think there was any member there after we spoke about the building, about its problems, that didn't understand better why the council's been doing what we've been doing. There was a handout that I prepared for both meetings too, which I can email to councillors if they would like a copy of it. It's got all the background data so that people can see. One of the things that I did sort of find a little bit not annoying but surprising, that the lack of trust in that they thought we were making things up. Some people, not everyone.
Like the mould, making it up about the mould.
Yeah.
As an excuse.
That was just an excuse.
Yeah. No.
So I think being able to give them the hygienist report was an eye opener for them, because they just thought it just wasn't independent, which of course it was.
It's the last thing we want to do is build a new building. Why would we make that?
Now I'm happy to answer any questions about any of that. No?
Straightforward.
Okay. I've been in negotiation with the Sportsman's Hotel owner about that laneway that goes to the back of the thing, and he's finally come back to me with an offer, which was he'd give me an easement if I paid him $50,000, and I've written back and said, well, no, that's not acceptable. I'll offer you $100 a square metre, which is about 274 square metres we need. And if you if that's not acceptable to you, then I'm going to move forward with compulsory acquisition of the site. So we'll see what he does. I'd also like, as you know, my time at the council is coming towards an end. One of the things I've always wanted to do is to clean up the back of the shops on the western side of Maitland Street. All the shop owners own narrow bits of land all the way through to the laneway. I would like to start negotiations with the shop owners to actually move that area into public ownership so that it could be, we could have a proper car park, we could have an entryway into the main street, and the caravans and other people could park there, and it would just generally tidy it up, because at the moment you've got McGregor's are just sort of like taking over the whole area, just further and further and further. And you've also got the problem here, the gentleman on the corner, there is a right-of-way into that land, which he is completely closed off, and he's in fact charging people to use what is an easement for their use to the back of shops each week. That needs to be resolved as well. Also, you would have known from that stormwater study we did a little while ago that was tabled at the council, or tabled at the community meeting. We really need to do something there with stormwater, and this would help fix up that as well. But I didn't want to embark on this unless the councillors were supportive of trying to do something there.
So to do that, the council would have to purchase those back
Well,
blocks.
not really. If we're improving their stormwater, and if we're giving them a proper car park where they can park their cars at the back of the shops,
They might agree to it.
I think it would be unreasonable
Yeah.
that they would want too much.
You're talking about just back down here.
Just straight
On
there.
the front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that area at the back.
See, the one thing that always I find annoying in Minga is it can often be difficult to find a park.
Yes.
Because there's no off-street parking.
Yep.
And Warrialla always looks a lot quieter, but there's a whole lot of off-street parking.
Yeah. And there is an access laneway, but it's got the little sort of shop thing that's used as for cake sales. That could be the entryway between the back of and into the main street. And if we still wanted to have a cake stall sort of thing, we could incorporate that into the Memorial Park, perhaps.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Is that not owned by the butcher shop?
It's owned by the cafe. It's
Oh,
the cafe.
The cafe, yeah.
Yeah. In the past, there has been a problem. Glenn Wade, when he was in the butcher shop, he was concerned if we did that his air conditioning units might come under. But I don't think that's really a problem. You can.
We have tried, haven't we?
Yeah, we have tried.
Yes, we have
I
tried.
want to give it another go, because there has been change of ownerships.
Yeah.
Since.
We've still got McGregor's owning the sheds
Yes.
coming from this way, so they've got two ways. We've got the hack office, we've got the mortuary. That's not still, yes it is.
It's not still a mortuary.
Oh yeah. No. It's
So
a
they're still
funeral.
using it, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Um,
That was the place we looked at to buy.
Yep.
You talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. Don't you remember that?
You were
we
dead
went
keen,
through it,
from
I
what I
went
remember.
through it.
Yeah. I'm not going to make a comment on that.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
and there's Damien there.
are you happy for me to give it another go?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, just see how we
Any-
go.
Anyone got any objections to that? I don't. Okay.
Okay, I've got just noting I've sent an email back to the Unleash the Black Dog Ball people,
Yeah.
saying that they can become a subcommittee of the council for the special events committee. And asking them if they want to progress that, just to get back in contact. I think they should, because it should satisfy all their
Oh, I'm
requirements.
sure they will.
Other than that, they're going to let it go. It'll,
Well, I'm sure they'll do that. They'll be happy with
I'm
that.
sure Sarah will,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there are only the two of them.
Yes.
So they don't have meetings or anything, they just get on and organise.
There's no function this year, is there?
No, it's biannual.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got a little note here saying extended to 7 It's of July and I've got no idea what that was. I should have written down more notes.
Anyway, that gives you another week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all I had.
Okay. Has anybody got any comment on that? Or any of the directors? Anything they'd like to say? No. All right. Well, we have to now. I need a.
We can have a cup of tea.
I was going to say we've got to go into confidential session, so we'll have afternoon tea this time, and then come back. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. Who went back? Yes. Could I have somebody move that we go into confidential session? Councillor David Colton, seconded. Councillor Egan. I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye. It's now carried. Now we need to adopt the recommendations from the confidential session. You got it back on, Max.
Yes, the recommendations from the confidential session, expenditure of unallocated road budget. The recommendation to the council is that the council allocate a notional 1.2 million from the 2023-2024 road construction and maintenance budget to place a graded seal on Geta Road. Further, a road safety audit is carried out following the works, and advisory speed signage is erected where necessary. Further, Colas New South Wales Proprietary Limited, Tamaga New South Wales 2322 are awarded graded sealing works with an upper limit of 1.2 million, excluding GST, without inviting tenders. On the item property acquisition, that the council indicates an interest subject to further clarification regarding the terms of the offer, including timeframes, the development of suitable legal documentation, and an initial discussion with the Department of Planning regarding the feasibility of rezoning the land as part of the review of the council's local environmental plan. On the item sale of land for unpaid rates and charges, that council implements proceedings to sell the properties listed in this report at a public auction at a time and place to be determined, pursuant to section 713 and other relevant sections of the Local Government Act 1993 and regulations. Further, that the Centre for Sustainable Debt Recovery Proprietary Limited, Recouper, be appointed to administer the sale on council's behalf. Further, that council authorises council staff and Recouper to proceed with the necessary arrangements pertaining to the sale of the properties listed in this report, as set out in the Local Government Act 1993 and Local Government General Regulation 2005. Further, the council authorises the General Manager to withdraw from auction any property occupied by a ratepayer who, in the General Manager's opinion, is suffering extreme and unusual hardship or ill health, or who, prior to the commencement of the auction, has made an acceptable arrangements for the repayment of the outstanding rates and charges. Further, that council authorises the General Manager or their delegate to execute contracts and transfer documents pertaining to the properties specified in the body of the report. Further, that council reserves the right to withdraw the property from sale for technical or legal reasons.
Somebody like to move that we adopt those into our general meeting, those recommendations from the confidential session? Councillor Egan has, and a seconder. Councillor Mulligan, I'll put that motion then. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. There being no...
Yes, I have.
There is more further business? Yes.
Sorry.
Councillor Egan?
Could we have a letter to Bill Hazlitt?
No, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's a former mayor of Walkershire. He's awarded an OAM at the King's Birthday Honours. Good idea. He's been a friend of our
14
council.
years
Yeah.
service on the Central Northern Library and that sort of thing. So if we could just do that, that would be very
I think that'd be a great idea. I don't think that requires a motion, but...
No.
Should we send one to Di and...
To Clement Eye?
Clement Eye, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that would be about.
I've
Well,
done it.
we nominated them. Though, so-
Yeah, I've congratulated them, but that's not official. Yeah, good idea. Okay.
And Sarah Crump said, that's wonderful, thank you very much.
Okay, good.
I just texted to say we've resolved it because they were going to abandon it.
Okay. Well,
Oh, right.
But you're
okay.
going to send her a letter.
I've sent
Oh,
an
okay, well,
email.
she might be, anyway, she's very
Yeah.
happy to do
So.
Right, there being no further business, I declare that meeting closed and thank you for your attendance.